A little bit of background on myself. I have a company and we're strictly outbound calling. I myself do calling, and then I have 6 to 7 part-time people to work with me in a virtual office setting to do outbound telemarketing. Myself, I do, 45,000 plus calls a year in about 48 weeks. On average, I do work in 4-hour call blocks for my clients. I average about 100 to 120 dials in a 4-hour call block. Talk to an average of 8 to 24 people. I usually set on average about 5 appointments, so I have about a 31% closing ratio. But I love being on the phone. It's what I think I was meant to do. So I'm one of those unique people who, I'm going to get up and do phone calling.
Okay, everybody in the room who would like to have John's job, please stand.
So today I'm going to really help us look at having the right answers or having some type of answer when someone gives you an objection on the phone, if you're doing phone calling, how to respond to it. I think it'll help a lot. I got to turn this on. It'll help to turn it on. Okay. Ooh, I felt the buzz. Okay. First one, they ask you, send me information or mail me something. First thing you want to be aware of is they might be very sincere. They would like to have information. Number 2, it could be a block to minimize their time on the phone with you. So a good response would be, say, I'd be happy to send you more information via an email, but we have a lot of different information to send. I'd like to get the right information to you, so then it just expands for you to be able to share and ask a couple more questions about how your product or service might be able to be a fit into that company's work. So simply by changing some things around, asking some questions now when they say send me email, you'll say, okay, now I know exactly what information I'm going to send you in an email, and then be able to finish up with, say, I'd like to send that information and follow up a call to you next week, or could I stop by for 20 minutes? What day would be good for you? And go from there. All right, let's move to number 2. We handle that need internally. Here, the company might have filled the core need for your product or service already, or they might have already filled it with maybe one of the competition to where they can say, well, we already do that internally. You don't know. So you can probe a little bit and be aware of core versus niche services. Most companies, they don't have the resources, the capabilities, and the economies of scale to handle specific niche services. And what you have, if you have a business, like many of us in the room, we have niche services that we're experts at. So you want to portray that and be able to push that. One thing in your area of having a scope of 5 SSDs, I call them your 5 specific selling differentiators. Very important. Everyone should have this. And it will help you in meetings as well as on the phone. So your 5 specific selling differentiators include what makes you stand out from the competition? Why are you different? How can you offer something that the competition doesn't do or doesn't do as well? So here you can share a couple of those and then be able to simply say, when they say, well, we handle that need internally, oh, that was the exact reason for my call today. We have worked with a number of organizations just like yours. We found that we can be an effective supplement to the services you already provide through your company, because you're not sure what exactly their needs are when they say they handle that internally. You're going to find out more about that. Another response you can do is, oh, I guess I didn't click through. So, okay. I haven't worked a lot with PowerPoint, so you'll have to work with me. All right, that's that one. Let's go to response number 3. We have an existing relationship. Can be one of the toughest objectives to overcome, because if they have a relationship already, you need to find out a little bit more. Are they working with the competition? Don't be afraid to ask, well, who are you working with? They're either going to tell you or they're not going to tell you that company. Some will kind of be secretive and they won't share anything. Others will say that, and you want to know, who is the competition working with? Also, maybe ask a little bit more questions. Well, how is that relationship driven? Many times when I call on the phone and talk to people, and they say, well, we already have an IT company. The owner's son has an IT company, or the owner's wife, her brother has a marketing company. So if that kind of relationship is there and established, probably not going to break that. And the best thing you can do is say, great, that was exactly the reason for my call. We worked with a number of organizations just like yours and have found outsourcing to be a lower total cost solution to their needs. Simply, the best effort I can say for you here is try to capture an email. Say, I know things change in the future. Maybe if anything changes, you at least have information about us. Can we email you information, an e-brochure, and get that to you? I'm sure it'll be helpful. Number 4, we don't have the budget money right now. I've heard this a lot. I did 20 years of corporate sales before I started my company 8 years ago. And I'm so guilty of this because so many times I hear that, I go, oh man, I got to get off the phone quick. They don't have money. I'm gone. See you. Bye. You know what I'm saying? I'm out of here. I want companies with money and spend it right now. So,
all of us too.
Yeah. Now, I take a little bit different approach. Selling is a life cycle. It's not a process or an event. And knowing this, you can't expect immediate return from everybody you call. You know, it's not going to be gold everywhere you dial up a number. So be wise, be smart. Maybe work to build a relationship with them now. And then you're in place when their money does come back to the company, because it always comes back. Everything's cyclical. You'll be able to have a relationship with them. So you simply say, Cindy, I understand that there might be a current budget constraints. However, my goal is not necessarily to sell you something today, but rather to build a lasting relationship. So I think that's huge to say, hey, I care about you enough to say, can I meet with you? Let's share knowledge with each other so you know what I do and I know what you do. Quick story my wife told me. My wife is a Facebook fanatic right now. She's going through like a phase, I call it, you know. She's got off the computer, on the tablet, you know, blah, blah, blah. Crazy. So she told me a story that I thought was great, kind of fits in here. 2 babies were born premature, twins, a boy and a girl, in a hospital. The little sister was very sick when she was born. She had a heart condition. So they were in the emergency intensive care at the hospital. And one of the head nurses, she just knew in her heart that she needed to go against hospital policy to have the 2 babies put in one incubator. Hospital policy was to have every baby is in their own incubator. But she felt, well, they're twins, they need to be in the same incubator. So she got the head doctor involved. He got approval, and within a couple days, they put both the brother and the sister in the same incubator, just like they'd be in the womb. Within hours, the healthy brother was able to wrap his arm around the little sick sister. And within, a matter of days, her heart came back up, her blood pressure came back up, everything stabilized, and within weeks they were released from the hospital. So, kind of a neat story. The local newspaper got in touch with it, came over and shot a picture of it, and they called it the rescuing hug. So I thought it was a cool story. And you might be rescuing hug to that person that says, oh, we don't have the budget, because everybody's going to turn away from them. So it might be a plus when you share some empathy with them on that line. The second thing you can do is use a very familiar thing that I used a lot. It's that feel, felt, found method. Your response would simply be, Mr. Jones, I can certainly understand how you feel. In fact, many of our best customers felt the same way as you did when we first called upon them. But what they found when we started working with them is that we could really help them save money on the purchase of our product or service to help them improve their overall productivity. So another just little gem there, keep in mind that feel, felt, found. You, again, you're empathizing with them on that method. What about the one, I'm not interested? Most people say they're not interested when they're buying. It's a decoy mechanism. So sales is selling to someone who before you called, they really weren't interested in what you had. If they were, they would have called you. So your response simply would be, hey, Bill, a lot of people have had the same reaction you did when I first called before they had a chance to see what we do could benefit them. Here's where you want to supplement your clients that you work with. If you're in banking, if you've got bank clients, you're calling a bank, insert their names. You know, XYZ company, ABC company, National T company. They all had the same reaction you did until they had a chance to see how what we do could benefit them. And then simply ask for a brief moment to share what you want to talk to them about and do it. Number 6, I'm too busy. Instead of saying, well, what would be a better time or day, I simply say, hey, the only reason I was calling today was to set up an appointment with you next week. Be real blunt. See what they say. They might say, well, I'm happy with what I have. Then you can respond back with, a lot of people tell me the same thing before they have a chance to see what we do complements with what they're doing. So just 2 quick turn questions. After that, I let it go. If they're not interested, hang up, go on to the next line. Let's see, number 7, your pricing is too high. You know, if your pricing is too high, you probably aren't even in business because nobody's going to buy anything from you. So see you later. Not going to work. But pricing is a relative issue. It's not an absolute one. And you need to show that your product or service really warrants the price you're charging and why. Quick story, I worked for Swank Audiovisuals back in the 90s. When I went on board with the corporate office downtown on Jefferson, my GM took me for 4 days to different properties we were in, 25 different hotels they were in that did audiovisual, and showed me why Swank was so more expensive. But it was a culture, it was a way of thinking, it was a value, it was everything, including the technicians that we had to work the show and good, solid equipment. So by sharing that value really instilled in me, I went out there and was able to sell no problem. So your response might be, Kathy, price is a concern to all of us. However, we work with a number of organizations just like yours who believe they receive an appropriate return on investment with our company. Insert a couple clients that you have and just say, I'll be in your area next week, Tuesday or Thursday. Would it be okay to stop by at 3 o'clock? Number 8, I'm not the right person. This is great. When I call into a company sometime and I'm not sure if I have the right person on my list that I'm calling, for instance, if you're trying to get hold of the marketing person, work with the receptionist and treat her very nicely and say, you know, ma'am, I need some help. My name is John. I'm with BCY Company. I'm trying to get a hold of the person who handles the marketing. Is that the owner? Is that Tim Williams? I have his name on my list, on my Excel sheet. Or do you have a marketing person? Now, sometimes they won't know. It depends upon the size of the company. They might send you to someone and it's the wrong person. So a little trick here, if you get sent to Betty Jones and she tells you, I'm not the marketing person. And then you would simply ask, who is the marketing person at your company? She goes, oh, that's Gina Thompson. Thank you. Then you call back, you ask for Gina Thompson. You talk to Gina and say, earlier today I talked to Susan Jones through a friend of mine I know, and she referred me to call you the marketing person. It makes that colder call warm up a little bit, and therefore you get a better response. So that helps a lot. So I'll open it up for questions if you have any questions. So the question was, calling to get people to pick up the phone and dial. Is that kind of?
Yeah. How do you get motivated?
How do you get motivated?
Yeah. Is that, yeah.
I think having some knowledge and understanding of how to react and work on the phone makes anyone's fear of dialing on the phone evaporate some. And if they set some goals, if you know a little bit of your matrix numbers of how many calls you need to make an hour, knowing that X amount of dials is going to relate to X amount of talking to people on the phone live, and from those people you just talk to the phone, you're going to set up 5 meetings. You know, knowing all those numbers really helps. So if they just know, I've got to make 100 dials, I'm going to do $25 an hour or 20 an hour, you just know that, and it makes it a little bit easier, I think.
John, I find that about 90%.
So real quick, I have a good program for that. You have your 5 selling differentiators, specific selling differentiators. When you first call, you need to use your generic voicemail message. Hi, my name is John Eyres. I'm with Business Connections Consulting. We are an outsourced marketing, telemarketing company, and we help you be able to create new leads for a very, very low, reasonable cost. The best time to call me is please give me a call on my cell phone, 314-495-2089. The best time to reach me is after 4:00 p.m. each business day. Thank you. So one key in a voicemail, it's good to leave voicemails. Tell them exactly what you are calling for, what you do, and then leave your phone number, how you're going to be reached. If cell phone, that ignites people to call you back. They're probably going to reach your cell phone better than the office phone, and give them a specific time when to reach you. Then the next week, leave a similar type message, but insert one of your selling differentiators and close with the same thing. My phone number is 314-495-2089. The best time to reach me is 4 p.m. after 4 p.m. each business day. So again, man, I go back to those 5 specific selling differentiators. If you have those, you use them all the time, everywhere. Okay, Dale?
Yeah, John, it sounds like you.
So I am very script driven. I don't think you can really do good, advantageous calling unless you have a script. I've done training sessions with companies that have their sales force out there, and I'm in a room with 10 salespeople. I'll ask, how many of you use a script? One hand might go up. So it's not uncommon, but my success for my business is built on having a script. What you do, I have myself and my calling team people practice, rehearse that script at least 50, 60, 70 times. So it's just like butter coming off on that toast. It's just, you know it so well. You just talk it. I can stand up and walk and talk that script when I talk to people, and bang. So script is very important. It's an introduction, a body, and a close. And your close is always, what's the purpose for my call? Is it to set up a meeting, a phone call, Skype session, whatever it is? But having a script, practicing over and over, and just so you know it so well, it just comes naturally, then it flows better on the phone. Any other questions?
So, John, I'm here. What I just heard you say is really important.
It's huge. Yeah. I encourage people to practice it with their spouse, dial, make a couple calls, test calls to your Aunt May and your sister and your brother and people like that, so that everything is comfortable. And when you dial, when you're comfortable with that script, you really know it, and you've talked to some test people or done it so many times, it really flows better. It makes it more confident. Great, and I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.